Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always. What are we looking at today?
Well, get this. Rhodiola Rosea. It's a plant.
Okay, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's been used in traditional medicine for like ages, right? But there's this 2022 scientific review.
Oh, wow. A review. So they're
Exactly. It examines all these clinical trials.
looking at what specifically? What were they testing?
Stress. Specifically how Rhodiola Rosea can help with stress.
Interesting. Yeah, stress is a big one these days. So many people struggling with that.
Right. So we're going beyond just anecdotal evidence here. We're talking real clinical studies.
It's how I like to hear. Hard evidence.
All right. So the review looked at 11 clinical trials and
11.
yeah.
Mm.
And get this. They were focusing on how Rhodiola Rosea might boost our brain power, especially when we're under pressure.
So cognitive function, like improving focus and mental performance when things get tough.
You got it. But the abstract mentions other things too, like stimulating the nervous system, countering fatigue, and even maybe even depression.
Right. Rhodiola has traditionally been used for a wide range of conditions. But this review, it seems, is zeroing in on those aspects that are particularly relevant to us today. You know, stress, burnout, that kind of thing. Which, let's face it, are pretty widespread issues.
Totally. Everyone I know is dealing with that in some way. But if this review is focusing on the brain, does that mean it doesn't work elsewhere in the body? The abstract mentions things like physical performance, too.
You're right to pick up on that. While the review is primarily focused on cognitive function, research does suggest that Rhodiola rosea might have a positive impact on physical performance. And that's not just for, elite athletes or anything. It's for everyday people, too.
Wow, interesting. So my gym routine could benefit as well.
It's possible, but it's not just about, building muscles or running faster. There's even some evidence suggesting it could be beneficial for cardiovascular health.
Hold on, cardiovascular health, too. I mean, I knew stress was bad for you, but
Right. Well, the studies are suggesting that Rhodiola rosea might help protect against the damage that stress can do to your cardiovascular system.
oh, wow. So it's not just masking the symptoms, it's like actually protecting your body.
Exactly. It's about increasing resilience. Which brings us to this really interesting term, adaptogen. Rhodiola rosea is classified as an adaptogen.
Okay, adaptogen, that's a new one. Break down what that means exactly.
So think about it this way. When you're stressed, your body goes into fight or flight mode, releasing hormones like cortisol.
Right.
But over time, if you're constantly stressed and your cortisol levels are high, it can really mess with your system.
Ah, I see where you're going with this.
Well, adaptogens, like rhodiola, they actually help regulate those cortisol levels, keeping your stress response in check.
So it's like an internal balancing act.
Yeah.
I've definitely noticed when I'm stressed, my focus just goes out the window. Is that maybe why?
It's definitely possible. There was one study, for instance, that found rhodiola significantly improved mental fatigue and concentration in students who are under a lot of exam stress.
Oh, yeah, I can relate to that. But, I have to ask, if it helps with stress and physical performance and all these other things, isn't that a little too good to be true? What are the downsides?
That's a great question. And it's always important to be cautious and remember that more research is needed.
Right, of course.
The studies included in this review, for example, they had different methodologies and different sample sizes, And of course, everybody responds differently to natural remedies. What works for one person may not work for another.
Yeah, true. It's definitely not a magic bullet. But the potential is there, right?
Yeah.
It seems like science is starting to back up what traditional medicine has known all along.
Absolutely. And the review actually concludes by stating that the evidence for Rhodiola rosea's effectiveness in dealing with stress-related conditions is, it's pretty compelling.
Okay, so we've got this plant. It's been used for centuries, might help regulate our stress response, and offers a bunch of benefits for our minds and bodies. That's a lot to digest.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, considering how stressed most people are these days, if Rhodiola rosea really lives up to its potential, could it be a game changer for how we deal with stress in our modern world?
That's a really interesting question. So Rhodiola rosea is more than just a cool name. It could actually be a real solution. I think it's definitely worth exploring further.
I agree. It's certainly something to keep an eye on.
Thanks for breaking it all down for us. Until next time.
See ya.
Bye, everyone.